Welcome back to the Us Girls Basketball podcast, where we hear from real women, real ballers, and real stories. Guys, I am pumped. Just came off of a really fun week just spending with friends. Emma and I got to catch up after her busy week as well and just got to reconnect again, which I love so much, which actually I feel like is going to make a great podcast because we haven't talked like deep for, a solid
Yes,
few weeks. So that means it's all coming out.
yes.
Prepared. So Emma,
Get
how are
ready.
you doing, dude? How are you doing?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing good living. I'm getting ready to move for grad school. So that's in a few weeks. So I know getting that master's degree. It's gonna take a lot of work, but I'm excited. I'm like getting little nerves, just like I'm ready to move down there, get started and get going down to Indianapolis. So I'm excited, God's on my side. So only up from here.
Heck yes. Oh, I'm
How are
pumped.
you doing?
I'm good, dude. It's been so fun just seeing friends and traveling to some of my favorite places and getting just content back up and running and
Hmm.
really honestly focusing on what us girls basketball is, like rekindling that. And I think we've had a really good talk on just the direction. I think too, like, it's all about readjusting, like we talk about all the time, but
Yeah.
like we have this one vision and then we figure out, oh, we might need to kind of do a 90-degree angle real
Hmm.
quick and go the other way. So it's been really cool. And I'm honestly super pumped for what's to come.
Good. Me too. Me too. I'm so excited.
Right? But with that being said, I think a really good topic that we're going to talk about this week is comparison. Comparison in sports. Obviously
Hmm.
that's the topic, but I feel like we deal with comparison in life so much. I mean, I've been feeling it too. Like there's moments where, I feel comparison. I look at other people's work and not be proud of mine, and those types
Yeah.
of things. So I feel like this was a really good topic, especially to talking on, we can compare ourselves with stats or like how a coach might like the other
Hmm.
player
Oh
or,
yeah.
um, what schools do for other athletes versus you, or even like the recruiting aspect, which again, like you guys know, the recruiting
Yeah.
system, that's something we talk about. We actually sit down and we talk about not letting comparison get in your head with the recruiting process. So honestly, this is a really big topic to talk about. We're just gonna really dive into it. I feel like this could be, 5 separate episodes on itself, but we're gonna try to narrow it
Yeah.
down to
Very
just
true.
this one episode. So Emma, go ahead and start us off with just like kind of the first point we want to talk about in comparison.
Yeah, definitely. First thing definitely comes to mind is I just want to say comparison is the thief of joy. So
Mhm.
if you ever compare yourself to anyone in any aspect, you are probably not going to be as happy as maybe what you see them doing in their life and how you're trying to get to where they're at. And that's in life, that's in sports, that's in school, your job, anything. Because let's face it, no one is just like you. Even your identical twin is not just like you. So if you're playing with a sister or a sibling or an identical twin, like you're the same age, stop comparing. And I know
Mhm.
it's easy to say, hard to do, but once you get that in your mind and know, like, hey, I will never be her, I can be as close to her as I can get, but I won't be her. That'll help you succeed in so many ways that you never thought of. So that's like the biggest thing I want to touch on real quick is how
Mhm.
comparing yourself to another player or even to like your previous year self, how you got to play last year, that's in the past. It's done. It's over with. And you are a whole new person a whole year later. You have new talents, you have new knowledge, you have a new mindset. So attack that. Don't be stuck in the past. Don't be stuck in someone else's little spotlight that they might have on them. Make your own spotlight. And that's a big thing with the comparison thing. A spotlight only takes one person. It's not going to show two. So no matter how much you want to chase that person's dream that they have, I'm sorry, newsflash, you're not going to get it. So just have your own dream and follow that, because once you set that in stone, you're going to achieve things probably you didn't even think you could do.
Mhm. No, I like that a lot. And we talk a lot about in life, we always say, oh, like, this is my journey and this is someone else's,
Mm-hmm.
but we forget that that's sports as well. So it's like you
Mm-hmm.
can't compare your journey to somebody else's because even coming from a personal experience, am 5'3", so you could only imagine how small I was in middle school,
Yeah.
high school, all of those things. And it's easy to compare, but this girl's scoring more points than me, or this college is looking over her while I played a better game. This you feel
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what? Like you're talking
Yeah.
about. there are some players you have to understand develop later. Some are early bloomers.
Mhm.
And sometimes, and this is also advice to your early bloomers, sometimes the early bloomers fall behind when they get older because
Mhm.
they bloom so early that they didn't feel
Yeah.
like they needed to. So if you are an early bloomer, please keep working. But also, if
Yes.
you're somebody who is a late bloomer, understand that early bloomers, they're called early bloomers for a reason. You still have
Mhm.
time, you know?
Mhm.
So I think, how many times did I say bloomers in that?
I think I counted like 4 or 5, but
Yeah,
I'm just gonna let you go with
that was like
it.
a tongue twister right there. But anyway, yeah, so really like don't compare your journey to somebody else's because you'll end
Mhm.
up where you need to be. If you're working
Mhm.
hard, if you have the right mindset, if you're doing everything with intention, you're ending up
Definitely.
where you need to be. So keep that in the forefront of your mind. You know, it's very
Mhm.
easy to compare it. Like, what, she has a scholarship and I don't get it. Like, I'm working harder than her, or I'm
Mhm.
going to this camp, or I'm doing that or that, you know, but you have to understand like your time will come and think of everything as a blessing. Like, sometimes this might
Yes.
sound weird, but like I kind of liked not having galore on galore scholarship offers because it was easier
Mhm.
for me to pick. I got
Mhm.
to choose exactly what I wanted instead of like weeding out things and being so wooed by so many
Right.
different colleges. I know that seems like funny, but that's how you deal with it. You just find the blessings in everything. So that was definitely something that I felt like.
Yeah, and I totally agree with the whole, like, college aspect of, like, coaches reaching out. I had my fair share of handful of, like, offers in colleges and whatnot, communication between them and all, but it made it easier in a way because, 1, it really showed me what schools wanted me and what
Mhm.
colleges wanted me, and then it made it easier to choose by going on those few visits, and I'll still say it to this day, I wish I went on more, but the few that I did go on, it was like I got to really experience them wanting me or seeing how they would treat me or even my parents when they were with me, and even just like hearing other people's stories of them posting like, oh, going to this college and this college, I have all these offers, and I'm like, but do they like want you, do you want them, like how, like I couldn't ever compare myself to them because I
Mhm.
knew my journey was a whole different journey than this post player was taking or this other point guard was taking. Like athletes, like they might have something I don't have, and that's what
Mhm.
coaches see in them. But then hold up, there's coaches that see something in me that they don't see in other athletes. And that's where like the whole comparison thing can come in, where it's like I'm obviously being wanted for a reason because they see something in me. They see some type of potential, which ultimately helped me throughout my last few years of high school and then going into college is like, I'm here for a reason. They saw something in me that could help their program, help this team to win together. And that's another thing that I really like focused on through the recruiting system for myself, especially in the game of basketball, is not everyone is going to see what they see in you, and not everyone is going to see what you see in yourself. And once you get to comparing, like, okay, well, I have a little bit of her game and I can do that too, but you can't do it all. You can't do everything she does. You can't do everything she does, but you can do everything that you can do that you've been training for this whole process to go through. And especially, I remember going into high school, I was playing with 3 of my travel teammates actually. So there was all this hype about like, oh, like we're gonna have a big 3, like a point guard, a shooting guard, and a post player all on the same team. We all played with each other for years to come. Things really didn't work out because after like a year or two, they transferred. So like all 3 of us split up, and instantly it was just talk around town like, how's her journey going to like align with hers? Like, what's she going to do compared to hers over here on this side of the town and all that. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl who's just trying to fall in love with the game as well and trying to learn more to get that college career going. But I will say it was hard at times seeing like my friend's stats and then they're looking at mine and people are like, oh, like she's doing better than you, maybe you should go over there. And I'm like, but I can do better too. Like watch me, like give me a few more games, or like watch what I do. She does stuff that I can't do and I do stuff that she can't do. So it's
Mhm.
just a whole different mindset of like what you're looking at and what you want to attack. But especially in a situation like that, it's the biggest time of your life to focus on yourself, to not compare. And I keep saying it's hard to say that, or hard to do it, easier to say. But once you put that aside and just focus on your love for the game and
Mhm.
your own talents and capabilities, you're going to go farther than you ever thought, and you're going to have like praise come to you, and hopefully everyone receives it thankfully and like as a blessing. But you're going to have attention come to you when you focus on yourself, for sure.
Yeah, I really like, well, one, I think everything happens for a reason, but I really like you said, like, focus
Mhm.
on yourself, because I think when you focus on yourself, like you said, like that comparison goes down. Because I'm not focused on
Mhm.
anything else. I'm focused on me and my journey. And I know that we're so apt to like, I want to go to a Division 1 college. I want to go to this and that, which is great. Like, I love that you have those goals. I think everybody should have
Mhm.
high achieving goals. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, that might not be you. And I hate that. You know what I mean? I hate saying that,
Mhm.
but there is a place for you. And it's a lot of times it's not where you thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can tell you countless, my whole life is stuff where I'm like, I did not think I was going to end up here or go through what I did, or
Oh
the
yeah.
events that happened to my life leading up to now. But it makes sense. Like someone said
Oh
this
yeah.
to me, and it said, one day everything will make perfect sense. And you'll have multiple of those moments where it's like, that makes sense why I didn't go to a Division 1 college. That makes sense why I transferred. That makes sense why this. So
Mhm.
if we're so caught up in what she's doing and what I'm not doing, then the amazing positive attributes that you have are going to get missed. So why don't you
Yeah.
sit there and focus on your qualities and the things that you
Mhm.
bring to the table, because then those will be seen and those will be
Mhm.
appreciated. Like you said, like find people who appreciate what you bring to the table, find people that appreciate you, who love you for who you are, and that's
Right.
huge. And I get it. It's hard. Like, especially, I mean, I know social media was huge when we went through high school,
Mhm.
but it
Yeah.
is nowhere near what it is now, especially with like
No.
TikTok and like those things. But it's like, I understand how comparison can be, especially in the recruiting process, with
Mhm.
everybody posting every visit and every offer, and even offers that they would have they would never take. It might be a
Yeah.
Division 3 most awful team in the conference, and they're getting looked at by Division 1, and they're going to post the Division 3 team. No offense, but
Yeah.
like, come on now. You know what
Right.
I mean?
It
So
happens. Yeah.
I get it. People are posting things like crazy because it's all about like, personal achievement.
Mhm.
And to that stuff, yes, congrats. But don't pay attention to that too much.
Mhm.
Congratulate them, but understand that like you're not getting that offer for a reason. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, we talk about this, and it's not trying to go off on a different tangent, but like, would you rather go to a school simply because you compared yourself and was like, I have
Mhm.
to do this because this person did it, and then you ride the bench the whole time, you're not happy, the style of play doesn't fit you, you don't really get
Yep.
along with the coaches, you don't like the school, versus waiting for that school that might not be as well known, but you're playing, you love the coach, you love your teammates, and the school is a place that you like to be.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sorry, but the second option sounds pretty great to me.
That sounds a lot better. Yeah.
Because we've both been to situations where we weren't happy in things that we
Oh
rushed
yeah.
the decision, or we thought,
Mhm.
whatever. So we're just, again, all of this stuff that we're saying is from experience. It's also from other conversations we've had with other athletes. So it's real life stuff. It's not just us
Yeah.
being like, oh, sorry, you're
Oh
not.
hey, here's an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not it at all. We're saying find something
No.
that fits you based on because it was for you and not because you were comparing and focusing on other people's journeys, and that focus translated to like negative decision making.
Exactly. And I think another huge thing is when you do focus on yourself, you enhance your work ethic, your mindset, how you are as a teammate, how you are as a person, and how you even approach the game of basketball.
Mhm.
And especially more nowadays, coaches are looking at that. If you can take a second to maybe step back and not compare, you'd be like, you know what, I'm just going to zone in, do my own thing. If you work on being a good teammate, hard work, work ethic, like busting your butt on that court, on and off of it, guess what? Coaches are going to see that. And then
Mhm.
when you see everyone else get these offers, yours are going to start coming in, because when you be a teammate like that, it's full circle. It goes full circle. If you take the time to focus on yourself and not compare for maybe just 6 months, a season, a summer, or whatnot, you're going to see results in your own life that you're seeing happen months before for other people in your life.
Mhm.
And then you're going to understand the process even more. You're going to understand I can't be, I'm going to say it, complaining that I'm not getting the attention. It's because maybe I'm not putting in as much work as they are. Maybe you don't see what they're doing behind the scenes. You're just comparing to the glory that they're getting up in like the spotlight right now. But especially nowadays, I follow a lot of coaches on Twitter. I have a lot of coaches, friends who are out of college, gone into coaching at different schools, even travel teams, and they're constantly saying attitude is everything. Hard work, being a teammate is everything. And if you can take care of that, your teammates are going to follow, because they're going to see, oh, hey, she's doing this and getting this attention. Yeah, they might compare for a second, but then they're going to hopefully realize, or maybe you communicate to them, take some time to work on yourself. We all get better together. We all get the attention that we're wanting. So especially today's day and age, it's not really about, well, yeah, if you can score a good bucket, yeah, you're going to get looked at. But how do you handle yourself on the court? That will put you above what you're comparing yourself to other people, especially today, for sure.
Yeah, and I feel too comparison is based on a lot of things that we can't control. Like I know there's some things like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to be a better shooter. Like you can control that. Like you can, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you think about like I'm comparing my journey because she's getting more scholarships than me, or I'm comparing my journey because she's getting more guys than me, or I'm comparing my journey because
Right.
she's more pretty than me, you know, or like those
Yes.
things that come into our head. Those are things we can't control. I can't
Yeah.
change my face shape. I can't control who talks to me and who doesn't. I can't
Mm-hmm.
control the coaches that come to me first. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
can reach out to coaches, but so I feel like when you're able to center yourself and focus on what do I bring to the table that is unique to the team,
Mm-hmm.
me, to the state, to maybe this school, then you're going to
Yeah.
have more, like Emma said at the beginning, like joy, you know, comparison is a thief of joy. Like you're going to get that taken away from you. And we don't want that. We want to
Yeah.
stay joyful in our process. And we talk a lot about like, you know, role players. And there's people on the team who it's amazing when they know their role. Well, it's kind of the same thing. Like know your role. You might be
Mm-hmm.
the starting point guard and the best player on the team or whatever, but that's a role. Like know your role and
Mm-hmm.
be good in that, you know, or and don't
Mm-hmm.
compare from the other starting point guard, because the thing is I couldn't compare myself to a lot of point guards because one, they were taller and bigger than me. So I can't
Yeah.
compare myself. I'm a different player.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're the same position, I'm a different player. So understand that there are things that you cannot control that you're comparing
Mm-hmm.
yourself to. And
Definitely.
that is that's huge. I just want you guys
Yeah.
to marinate on that for a second, because think about it. Like is what I'm upset about something that I can control? Is it something that I can
Mm-hmm.
go to the gym and get better at? If it's not,
Yeah.
let it go.
Let it go.
Like I was
Simply, yep, just let it go.
like I
And
was
I completely agree. It's like, it's the controllables. What can you physically and mentally control? And that's going to transpire to your game, who you are as a person, as a teammate, and just as a player, and being coachable and whatnot. And especially from my perspective, I'm a shooting guard. I had a little experience as a point guard in high school because I was just a little bit better than everyone else. So like I was in charge of that. But especially coming into like the college level and knowing like my position where I was at, yeah, I ran into shooters that were better than me. And I took that as like, I don't like that. I want to be just as good as them, if not better. And that I hope for other people too, that drives you to push you. So like when people are saying like, oh, you are maybe compared to this player, but hey, get in the gym, bust your butt, and then get above that player, do something different that maybe you haven't before. Like get uncomfortable. When you get uncomfortable, that is when you grow and that is when you learn. And it's really hard to do that, especially in the game where there is a lot of comparison. There is a lot of like matchups when teams play each other. Like, how's this player going to do against this player? At the end of the day, it's just another game. It's another basketball game, 40 minutes, ball goes in the hoops, you get a 2 points or you get a 3 points and one. That's how it's going to work. But at the end of the day, if you keep pushing yourself and you just know you're giving your best and doing your best, no one can compare that. No one can compare effort. No one can compare heart. No one can compare being a good teammate and being a good person.
Yeah.
And if you do that, what's going to follow is the highlights that you get with your career, with your season. You're going to get more points. You're going to get more limelight. You're going to get more attention for doing the right things that you can control. And that's when everything's going to fall into place. And next thing you know, you might even be in a category where you can't be compared. Like people are going to say, I've never seen a player have so much heart as her, as dedication and hard work. I've never seen a player ever dive on the floor that much or just attack the rim that hard. You're going to start getting compliments like that. And that's when you know you focus on yourself, your work ethic is paying off. And trust me, you think you're at the top, but you reaching that point is just going to have other players push even more. So that's where you can't stop. You can't get comfortable. So as much as you need to get uncomfortable to be comfortable, don't stay comfortable. Keep pushing, keep trying to get better, keep being uncomfortable to get to a level where hopefully no one can reach you one day.
Yeah. So let's put it into practical use. Okay, yeah, well, cool. We just, gave them a motivational speech on comparison
Yeah.
and all this stuff, but practically, how can people get out of that? So I'll go first. I thought of something. As you guys know, I'm a huge journaler. I like writing things down. I
Yes.
believe journaling is such a amazing progress tool. Like
Mm-hmm.
even something I've been starting to do. This is another little tip for you guys. And whatever you journal around, basketball, life, sports, I think you should journal around everything that you're going through and what's on your heart. But I'll write down some big prayer requests pretty much, or some big things that I just am really feeling on my heart. And then on that, whatever long my journal is, however long, I journal to that. And then at the end, I see the progress. I see what, has
Mm-hmm.
changed, what has grown, what has gotten out of my life, what's coming, like those, you see it. So
Yeah.
along with that, I think that you should have a date with yourself, is what I like to call it. Sit
I like
down,
that.
talk to yourself, write it down. What are things that you bring to the table? Okay, what is different
Mm-hmm.
about Emma? What is different about Jay? What is different about blank? What do you
Mm-hmm.
bring to the table? And then maybe what are some things that you compare yourself to? And then kind of write what one, like by it, like we talked about, what is a controllable and what is not a
Mm-hmm.
controllable. I think
Yeah.
that's huge. That way you can actually visually see it. Because I think sometimes, a lot of times when we're in our head, we don't think about how much we think about it, or it's not
Mm-hmm.
visual. So it's just words coming in. So I think that would be a huge tool for you, because then now you can see what your mind is centered around. And
Agreed.
what you're focused on. That way you can readjust your focuses. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like one of the things I was kind of thinking on. I was like, I wish I would have done that when I was younger.
Oh, girl, me too. I wish I would be doing that more, which I know I need to for a lot of things. But here we are. So I'm working on it. Work in progress, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone's always growing. Don't forget that. But definitely I love that idea. And I am definitely a journaler myself through like multiple times in my life. And
Yeah.
especially through like my first college, that was like emphasized a lot after games. So that was implemented to like our everyday lives. But something I really took away from it too is I know myself better than anyone and I love to talk. So the best way for me to get things out of my head is to sit down with someone that I trust, that I know that they know me, and they
Mm-hmm.
know the good, the bad, the great, the ugly, all about me. But to have an honest conversation with someone I trust, whether I don't want to sit down and journal with myself, maybe today I want to talk to someone. And I think that is a very healthy escape as well. With there's multiple healthy escapes too with this whole comparison and talking and getting it out of your head. But I'm a really big person of when I talk to someone, I can express my ideas, what's in my head. But for me personally, I have that moment in a conversation when I'm explaining my thoughts and what I've been thinking and what's been going in my head for a while. And I look at that other person and sometimes they'll just like nod their head or they'll smile or maybe they'll laugh. And that's my like aha moment. Like, I'm crazy for thinking this and I'm seeing your reaction because you know me for me, and how you're reacting is the feeling that I know, but I keep overthinking it.
Mm-hmm.
And so just having like that reassurance of a loved one looking back at me saying like, why are you thinking this, or why are you so focused
Yeah.
on that when you know it's not true, and why are you worried that other people think this, because no one is even worried about that. And
Yeah.
I'm the biggest overthinker and people pleaser. I want everyone to love me so much, and it digs me into holes some days worse than others, but you still got to come on top of it and realize that if you think other people need their approval for your happiness, you're wrong. You're absolutely completely wrong, because you're in charge of your happiness. You're in charge of how you decide to compare yourself or look at yourself compared to others. So for me, talking to someone physically is a
Mhm.
big help in my step to be like, maybe I'm thinking crazy right now. And you just reassured me that I am, and I'm doing everything I can in my power with my controllables and my abilities that I have. So I'm going to stay on that course and I'm going to forget these ideas. So talking to a loved one is definitely someone I trust, especially, is a big step for me in the whole process of clearing all the cluster out of my head when
Mhm.
I'm going through it.
Yeah, I love that a lot, and I'm like writing all these down because I'm having like ideas now.
Yeah.
The last one that came to my head, at least for me, was goals, like writing down your goals and like
Mhm.
writing down goals without bias. I think
Yes.
that's huge because there's been a lot of times where I am somebody who gets inspired very easily by
Mhm.
like people doing great things. But I
Yeah.
see what they're doing and I think that that should be a goal for me when
Mhm.
that's not necessarily the case. My goal looks a little bit different. So write down goals without bias. What do you want?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
think about it. Some of the things we're comparing ourselves to, I don't even want that.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially
Yeah. Like,
with
why
time,
do I even put myself in that category?
literally. Like, even sometimes with like bigger universities and stuff, like, yeah, I wanted to go Division 1 when I was younger, but like the older I got, I realized I had other passions. So like me
Mhm.
going Division 1 wasn't really in the goal anymore. It was just
Mhm.
getting to play college basketball at a school that I liked. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And it's like
Yeah, for sure.
really find the goals that like you want because
Mhm.
we get because I get it. Like I can see why like people compare themselves when someone has success. Like for instance, like I'll just be honest, like in the creative world, like meeting a lot of new people, like I sit here, I'm like comparing myself to their work when I'm like, but they do completely different work than I do. Like their
Mhm.
style is different, their job is different, like who they work with is different than what I would
Right.
work with. So it's like, why am I comparing myself when that's not even like a field I want
What
to
I'm
go?
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, same with sports. So I just thought of that and I
Mhm.
was like, yes, goals. Like
I
unbiased
think that's huge. Yeah.
goals.
And definitely, like, when you realize too, like, as much as we do compare, and even in life and especially on social media, that is a huge, huge thing in the comparison world. It's like you wish you had what someone else had, but then you might talk to them and then you find out like all the nitty gritty, like dirty stuff, and it's
Mhm.
not really what you want. It's just what's shown out there.
Yeah.
And that is a huge thing because the way someone can present something on social media or portray themselves on their account or just the things that they post, it might seem like that's the life. But if you dig deeper, you might get to know that person, or you do know that person and you know it's really not the life, then
Mhm.
that's enough for you right there to know, hey, that's not what I want. Yeah, it looks good on paper, but in real life, it's not what I want personally. And if it's a path that you want to follow, like you have a role model to go after, go for it. If you know all the good and the bad, but you still aspire, or I think that's the word, aspire to
Mhm.
be something like them, go for it 100%. But just know everything that's posted and talked about is not 100% someone's story, is not 100% someone's journey. There is going to be a lot of bad and ugly with all that good that they have. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. Like not everyone has everything. Trust me, like especially just me in my regular life when I follow my friends on social media and I'm like, man, like they have everything and I'm kind of struggling with this right now, blah, blah, blah. But then we do like our catch ups when we're on FaceTime or texting, and I'm realizing, wow, they really don't got it all, or they're really struggling with this too, but it's just not known out there in the world yet. And so that's one thing to keep in mind. Someone else's success is not really a full success story because they had to go through some things and probably still are going through some things to get there. So know that it's not going to be perfect to get there for your own journey, but is it going to be worth it to do your own journey? 110%. Because then that's lessons you learn, lessons you can share, and hopefully you end up telling people one day, you know, I didn't compare myself because I found out there was a lot more going on in that way that I didn't want to follow. So I decided to do my own thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. Before we end off, I think we like talked about a bunch of stuff, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you want to touch on? I talked about pretty much everything, but I want to make sure that we touch on
Yeah, definitely.
everything too.
Yeah, like I just said to start it off, you know, comparison is the thief of joy, whether that's in sports, life, work, whatever atmosphere you're in. Everyone has their own journey with the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the great, the ugly. Make it your own story. We're all here for a reason. Everyone has a different fingerprint for a reason because we all leave a different mark. So don't forget that. That's all I got to say.
Love it. Great way to end off, Emma. Look at that.
That's nice. I should put that on a pillow or something.
I know, you should. We'll go back and we'll quote it.
We got it.
I love it.
I love it.
Thank you so much for listening, watching. If you're watching on YouTube,
Yes.
just some quick reminders. Make sure to follow us at Us Girls United on Instagram, as well as, guys, we're starting Facebook back up. I was lazy with it and didn't post on it as much, but make sure to like it. On Facebook is it's Us Girls Basketball Training. I don't think you have to put the at, but it's Us Girls Basketball Training. So
there you
go like that, follow that, because a lot of cool content is coming up on that. And then, of course, rate and review this podcast. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube and you're listening audio, go to YouTube and subscribe. Give it a thumbs up. All of the
please. All the good.
Guys,
yes.
We love the support so much, and there's so many fun things coming that I can't wait for. I know, Emma,
me too.
we're just pumped.
I'm just so giddy. I'm ready for it.
I know, we're so excited and to have all this stuff, just come to life for all of you guys and give back in the ways that we want to. So it's going to be really exciting. But with that being said, we will see you guys next week. Peace.